everybody, and welcome to the Coronavirus Podcast.
Yay.
I am the one with the virus again. Fifth time. 5. Alessio was spot on when he said it's like Final Destination. Only I'm the fucking star of the show. Wankers. Anyway, yeah,
And
so...
also,
Go on.
Well, once you
No,
get to
just-
10, once you get to 10, you will get some sort of reward.
I best do.
yeah,
I should be getting a bloody medal by the king.
You'll be
yeah.
you'll be knighted like Brian May,
Lord Corona.
Chris Ray, OBE.
Sir Corona.
Okay.
How was that? Lord Corona. Right, so yeah. We have me, COVID man. We have Alessio. And we have Francesco. And
Yeah.
it's been a while. Because, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a
First,
while.
I went to Chris's land and the UK, which is grey, very grey.
That's what happens when the Tories are in power. All the colour just fades away.
And then we also we missed a couple of weeks, so there is a bit of backlog of stuff to discuss. So we'll try to be quick though.
Yeah. And we have Francesco.
Yeah.
Very
No
important.
Corona. No Corona for me. Or maybe I had it, but I don't know because I don't do tests. I don't give a fuck.
Well, there is
Well, if
that.
you don't know you're sick, if you don't know you're sick, you're not sick.
I'd say if you're not feeling sick, there's no point doing the test.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
what I. Yeah.
Ow. Right. Oh, and my back hurts due to coughing. Anyway, so yeah, first topic: Hogwarts Legacy, fastest selling launch apart from FIFA, recorded by the European charts. I am not surprised. Over 12 million units sold in the first 2 weeks. Made nearly $1 billion in that 2 week. It's probably hit over $1 billion by now. So yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, like you said, it basically outsold Modern Warfare 2. Of course, the game has been out for a few months, so perhaps not many folks were eager to get it in the month of February. Although, I mean, it's still, it's very, very. Basically, it means it was the fastest selling launch because FIFA games are kind of cheating, in Europe where everyone likes football, so it's not a fair fight for any other game.
No, it just is what it is.
And,
but yeah, it doesn't. I mean, I've said it all along. There's no way in hell that Hogwarts Legacy isn't going to be the best-selling game of 2023. No way in hell.
You know what's interesting is that it's not yet out on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One and the Switch. So it just sold this much on consoles that are not that easy to find in stores.
And the PC
better than
of course,
before, but and PC. But I mean, this is going to get even bigger when it comes to the other consoles.
See, the thing is, and you can tell that, and it's so rare for Warner to actually do things right, but what they've done is the smart thing. They've got it out on the good formats, on the major formats, and then they're actually working on the older formats to make sure it will play right. Essentially, they're doing an opposite world CD Projekt Red.
Yeah, well, and I think they were pretty much forced to do so because they delayed the previous generation versions again.
Yeah, but the difference is, if it was CD Projekt, they'd have just released them anyway. Because they did.
That's what they did with Cyberpunk.
That's exactly what they did. They were like, "What? You expect a game to play? Oh, don't be silly. Give us your money."
Well, I think it's the Cyberpunk botched launch that now has led these other publishers to do things differently because the backlash it would be probably too big for anybody.
There's the fan backlash, and then there's also the backlash, the investor backlash.
Yeah.
I mean, there was that lawsuit over Cyberpunk. I don't even know if that's still ongoing. And it cost.
I think
it
they
cost
settled
CD
it.
Projekt millions upon millions in refunds.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, it's also interesting because in the UK, which is of course the main region for the game, given that the story is based in the UK, and and the original author is from the UK, so it already outsold Elden Ring in like a month. I mean, Elden Ring, not just in its first month, Elden Ring's entire sales in the UK. So it's for a year.
It's but From Software games, they're not for everybody. Even though there was word of mouth for Elden Ring, it just doesn't have the power of Harry Potter.
I think that's it. I mean,
it was a given.
Elden Ring was a massive seller, and it was word of mouth, and it was, and even though it's not for everybody, everybody wanted it due to the history of it, and due to From Software. But again, like you say, Harry Potter. It's Harry Potter. And I mean, everybody wanted to play, and everybody just wanted to play the J.K. Rowling game.
It's not. Ouch.
To be fair, though, we have to say that, of course, it doesn't compare. But Elden Ring also got some kind of boost from an author. I mean, from J.R.R. Martin, who also worked on the game. So everyone was saying, "Oh, Elden Ring, it's From Software with J.R.R. Martin."
Yeah, mostly because people wanted to see some more fantasy from him, since he has kind of forgotten about a couple of books he's supposed to be writing, but he seems to have forgotten about them.
Writing? Who are you talking about here?
Yeah, that's. Sorry, I didn't want to offend him. Yeah, they will be done when they will be done. That means never.
Yeah, I guess never.
At least in his lifetime, they're never going to be complete.
I guess.
Yeah, I don't expect anything being made completion. Yeah, so yeah, we'll have a ghostwriter finish them in 2100.
I've been saying for several years now, our best hope is for Brandon Sanderson to finish it.
Yeah, I think I don't like saying this, but because I don't like saying that, but I think this is going the way of the Wheel of Time. That when
I'm just going to say what I think really happened. He had an input in the last season, and that's how he really wanted to finish the novels. And then he saw how shit it was. He saw the reaction and thought, "Oh crap! I'm going to have to change my mind now."
This would be complex to say what I think about it, but I'll try to be short. That the ending, it's his ending because it makes sense in the context of the books, but it doesn't make sense in the context of the show.
I genuinely think that was how he wanted to end the novels.
Because it makes sense. I recently read again the first book, and it makes sense. With what's on that book, it makes sense. Well, except some stupid details like Jon Snow's exile, because the Unsullied didn't want him, but then the Unsullied went away, so why did he get exiled? This is another matter entirely, and we could stay here and talk about this for hours, and I'm going to
let's... Ow! Another episode, maybe.
Yeah.
So Harry Potter, Hogwarts Legacy, massive success, unsurprisingly, and when it finally releases on the older consoles, I think if they release this year, I genuinely wouldn't be surprised if Hogwarts Legacy hits 20 million units sold in 2023.
Yeah, that's probably an easy prediction. I mean, Elden Ring, I think, got to 20 million in a year, right? Or something.
Yeah, true.
So it's probably going to do even more, maybe 25. Who knows? We'll see with the Christmas push and maybe Thanksgiving discounts. We'll see. But
No, actually, yeah, quite easy. Actually, yeah, thinking about it.
Anyway,
yeah.
just
So yeah,
moving to another Warner Bros. Game who might not be that successful. Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. I think we talked about it in the last podcast because they had released the gameplay. And if you remember, Chris is always talking about his prediction, but I was saying, this game needs to be delayed because it won't work like that. And no, I predicted a delay, and apparently it's coming. It's coming true, right, Francesco?
Well, apparently, they haven't announced it yet, but apparently, after seeing the reception, I had to say why they were surprised about the reception, because it was a shit show. Like, outside of the story, that I think it's interesting enough, everything else was a disaster. And so apparently they have delayed the game again, but they haven't announced it yet. Somebody says it's been delayed later this year, but there's a possibility that it's getting delayed to 2024. They haven't, according to Schreier, I think Jason Schreier, yes, it was him. They haven't announced the date yet because they don't have it. They don't know when they're delaying the game.
So it's technically not delayed until it gets.
Yeah, but the thing is that they're not changing the core game. That's the reason why it was. Of course they can't. That was the main reason of the delay. So why are they delaying the game if they're not changing what people didn't like?
I think, like I said in the previous podcast, I think, of course, there's a lots of people that complain about the live service and whatever, but I don't think it's the main reason for a delay. I think the main reason they should delay it, and they will delay it, is because the core combat for a shooter, it just didn't look interesting enough. It felt like it lacked punch, when you shot enemies, and also the abilities looked rather generic, stuff like that. So that's things that they can improve with the delay if it's big enough. As for the live service of the game, of course, there are lots of people that don't like it. I think, as always, it depends on the game. If the game itself is good enough, if it has good combat, good character progression, good story, then if it has live service elements, it can still succeed, actually, because lots of live service games are successful.
Yeah, I think at this point, I think at this point is that there are too many of these live service games that it's a time investment playing these things.
At this point, there's been too many live service games for ages.
That's why yet another one, and that doesn't look that good. And doesn't. I mean, we don't know it yet because we haven't played it, but it doesn't feel good probably because of that gameplay they've shown. I think that's the issue. The issue here, too many games, and these things are a time investment.
Also because another very common, points of criticism levied by fans is that it didn't even feel like, those characters. I mean, these are not just generic characters. They are well-known DC characters, so they need to do what they actually do in the comics, in the shows, movies, whatever that they've been, and they don't just have a gun and shoot it. They have lots more interesting things to do usually, right?
Well, to be fair, knowing the characters on that game, I don't know if they're that interesting. I mean, one of them's got a fucking boomerang.
Yeah, but like
that's
I said,
his name,
that's his name. Oh, I mean, I agree that of course they aren't.
They could have had more interesting characters like the guy who runs the shop than Captain fucking Boomerang.
That's true, and I agree that the choice wasn't optimal. But still, if you chose those characters, then you have to adhere to the lore, right? To the DC lore, and what makes them unique. If you just give them guns like it's a generic third-person shooter, then of course.
That's because developers don't know how to make interesting games anymore.
I think that's the worst takeaway from that, is that Rocksteady was considered to be one of the top developers, at least for action adventure games, and what they showed isn't top notch at all. So that's the main concern.
It's an iffy one because Rocksteady have made action adventure games from in a very, very specific character. We'll say that. I don't. Yeah, maybe they're just not as good as people thought.
Yeah, lightning in a bottle, like they say. I like the Arkham games, but I have to say that Arkham Asylum is still the best of them.
Well, the thing is, and that was the thing. It's like, yeah, they made good action adventure games to an extent, but they were making it all around Batman, where you know exactly, it's Batman. You know what to do with Batman. He's Batman.
They had great care for the lore, because I remember in the Arkham Asylum that you could get all those tapes, info about the characters, and this really doesn't feel like them. Kill the Justice League doesn't really feel like them.
Yeah.
So I don't know if how many developers are no longer at the studio. People that
the two founders have left.
That says everything. And I'm sure Warner Bros has had more than a say in the live service stuff and everything.
Yeah.
So I think the publisher meddled quite a bit in the.
So yeah, I think it's
for the game.
Yeah, it's an awkward one because. And even then, like the Batman games did sort of deteriorate over time.
Yeah, I mean Arkham Knight, for how good it looks, I don't think it's as good.
And that's what I mean. When you get to Arkham Knight, then you got bigger issues. I mean, so yeah, so we got. So I don't know.
The thing is, it's doubly disappointing when you consider how long did it take for them to make this game, because Batman Arkham Knight was released in June 2015. So if this game is pushed to next year, then that makes it 9 years. That's an absurdly long time.
Clearly the issue is that Rocksteady haven't been working on a remake of Urban Chaos.
Yeah,
that's the real issue. But yeah, so
they would make it a live service game. So I'd be careful about what you wish for.
I don't really want it. I don't.
But like Francesco said, the story seems interesting, so I still hope it turns out okay, at least.
Yeah, so, we'll see. I don't have my hopes up. It's one of those things. As good as the story may be, if it's shit, if it's boring to play, then what's the point?
Yeah.
So anyway, next game, which let's hope it doesn't suffer from the issues that the previous releases have suffered from. Starfield.
Impossible.
Well, not impossible. That's the problem. Impossible. Maybe I see the problem is. Oh, you mean impossible as in it's impossible it will suffer?
Yeah.
I thought you meant it's impossible it will suffer, I thought you were saying it's going to be perfect.
No, okay. No, I was thinking about issues, the bugs, the Bethesda's trademark.
So the problem, the issue now Bethesda's got, they really need to hit this one out of the park. And we can all accept a few bugs, but if they've got the trademark issues, because Bethesda's issue, especially after Fallout 76, is that it's retrospectively damaged every other game. Everybody's gone back and thought, just a second, why is it that none of their games look any better and have all the same issues as they have for over a decade? And, I love the Bethesda games, apart from Fallout 76. That was a steady, quiet disclaimer. No, even 76 got improved, but it's still not a proper Fallout game. But yeah, I always enjoyed the Bethesda games, and I will play Starfield. It's just I really want them to do better because
Well,
even I saw that. When you look back at their games, especially after seeing that they've not progressed as a developer at all. They have not, which is disappointing.
They're going. They have gone in the way of bigger. Bigger does better in their philosophy, but Starfield. I don't know. We haven't seen enough of Starfield
No, and
to say if they have. To be honest,
that's why I'm
we
more
have seen
hoping that.
Yeah.
But obviously, it sounds like they're just going the route of bigger equals better because,
it's good.
well,
Yeah, it's good.
instead of a big, a massive city or whatever, now it's just the space.
Well, I mean, if you do space, then you have to go big. You can't really do it any other way. But
now the issue, of course, is that there's no way in hell that it's space, so everything's going to be very much. They may want to claim that there'll be painstaking details and everything, but it's going to be procedurally generated to fuck.
Well, yeah, they've said that it's not a mystery, but
no, but they were making like claims like there's so much being, they've got so much that it's painstakingly done, but I don't think it will be.
They will always.
The central story stuff would be.
Yeah.
There is uncrafted content, and then there is procedural content, like they said. But anyway, I think, of course, you're right that this needs to be a huge success for both Bethesda actually and Microsoft, because of course Microsoft has purchased Bethesda's parent company for nearly $8 billion, and it's fair to say that by far this game is the biggest one released by Bethesda, and by Bethesda I mean not just the studio, the whole publisher so far, after the acquisition. So
see, biggest in scale, I would say, but in fact, I don't actually think it will be. I actually think that ZeniMax as a company could do better, and probably will do better with game. I mean, Doom Eternal was very successful.
Yeah, but it wasn't an exclusive, for example.
No, but what I mean is that if they do another, it's the biggest in terms of the exclusives for now, but I think, looking down the line, we might find that a sequel to Doom, another Doom, that could probably be like one of the tent poles, because especially with the way they're knocking it out of the park.
Yeah, no, I mean, Doom, of course, is also a big IP, but Bethesda's titles usually sell more, so just because of the genre, perhaps. But
yeah. But then again, that may not be the same now because, exclusivity.
We'll see, but anyway, they definitely have to, like you said, take advantage of Microsoft's resources to make a more polished game, and people have been waiting for a new single-player game from Bethesda again, like with Batman Arkham Knight. Their last single-player title, was from 2015, so it's been a long time, and people are eager, but like you say, personally, I'm hopeful and very much looking forward to the gameplay showcase, which is scheduled for basically just after Microsoft E3 conference. And so that's when we'll know a lot more about the game.
Yeah, I'll not even watch it. I'll just play it when it comes out.
And I also want to point out that I was right about the release date, because somewhere in the podcast I said it will probably release around September, which would be a good date because June is packed with releases. Of course, summer isn't a good. The summer isn't a good time to release big games.
I think we all sort of agreed on that, but yeah, you would right.
This was an easy one, yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, you said October or November, I think.
I think I said it could be anywhere between September to November.
Yeah, but September just made more sense because October and November are far more packed, just historically, if you look at
yeah. 100%.
Early September is basically going to be. Well, actually, there is another game that's coming out just a week earlier, which is Baldur's Gate 3. Of course, it's not comparable in like
the fact that it's already been out for about 5 years does help as well.
Yeah, but it's just the Act 1, so it's
yeah. But you know what I mean. People Baldur's Gate. People who wanted Baldur's Gate have probably already got Baldur's Gate.
And it's way more niche than Starfield.
I think it's done well though. Still.
Yeah, it's done well, but it's not on the same. I don't think it's on the same.
No. It's not got the same. It's not got the same name branding.
Yeah.
And well, it certainly will be very busy weeks for RPG fans.
I like my RPG. Well, as you know, I do. I love my RPGs.
Really nice.
So I mean, like you said, it was always going to be around that period of time. It was a no-brainer.
It would have been crazy to release that in June. That would have been mad.
Well, yeah, it would be. I mean, they are playing with fire because do you really think they can compete with RoboCop Rogue City? Or
if it were the 90s, they would have had a harder time when RoboCop was all the rage. They would have had a harder time.
Or I mean, towards middle of August, which could really still be dragging on. There's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh.
God. Yeah, September's quiet. September's going to be quiet. So far, anyway.
Yeah, my another game or two might still pop up.
There'll be more games pop up.
Yeah.
There's always going to be more games pop up. I mean, yeah. There is one game coming out in September. I actually tried it. Gamescom, I believe. Ad Infinitum. World War One set horror game.
Which
was interesting. But yeah, so that comes out in September as far as I'm aware. And then sometime in Q3 is a game for you, The Expanse.
Yeah, that will be. Hopefully, it's a good game. I mean, although I'm not a big fan of the art style that they shows because it's very anime-like, it's very cartoonish. But I still hope it's good.
Yeah, well, we will see. We will see. So anyway, what next? Let's go. Let's save the controversial topic till the end. So let's move on to the PlayStation 5 Pro for now.
Yeah, I think Francesco wrote that.
Okay, let's Francesco talk.
Yeah. Well, we don't know much, but one very reliable source, at least so far.
Was it me?
Up until now, they haven't messed up, but they may always mess up. So.
So that probably was me then. I didn't realize anything.
They've received information that Sony is working on a PlayStation 5 Pro. That
it doesn't shock me.
Yeah, it doesn't really, and they're actually aiming for a late 2024 release. And this would be actually the second system revision for the PlayStation 5 because they should release another version of the console this year with no disk drive but support for a detachable disk drive. But this would be like the current version, so no hardware improvement. Like I think that it would be like this generation version of the Slim console.
They're going to release a PS5 with no disc drive, but one that can support a disc drive.
Yeah, like a digital edition with the option of an external drive, and
so
then
it's essentially an external drive that you can plug in with a USB.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, and yeah, the controversy on this thing, it's always rumored, so we don't know, is that this drive is not going to work with the current version of the console. So people who bought the digital.
There's no point buying it then.
It's for the new model. So those that have the digital edition now cannot use this drive. So
is there really such a big demand for this thing?
Sure.
There's literally no need to buy it.
I think this is just to make it easier to produce the console, not having to produce two different models. So they got one, but if you want the disk drive, you can buy it separately, and then you're.
I guess.
This is.
You mean that the original PS5 digital will be discontinued?
Yeah. So essentially, it's the new digital version.
Yeah, but I think it's just to make it easier to get these consoles out without having to produce two different versions. And then they have the Pro, and then they can do that.
I mean, Sony is actually going pretty big on the advertising. I don't know if you've seen, but even on TV,
they usually seen a lot of their adverts.
Yeah, they're like, oh, yeah, there are lots of PS5 activity.
No, not really, not really.
Well,
it's usually before the.
I've just actually Googled the PS5 now. Despite the fact that I've got one sat within arm's reach, I've just Googled the PS5. I didn't realise I've had a PS5 now since November 2020.
Yeah.
I have touched it less than that many times. I am holding both hands up for those who are listening to this and not watching. Less than that many times. And that's probably not a joke. I probably have touched it less than 10 times.
Well, when you can play on PC as well, it's obvious that you're not going to touch that unless it's for exclusives.
It's a bit disconcerting that I didn't even realize I'd had it that long.
Something that changed for us reviewers. So maybe that could be slightly interesting for our readers as well. But actually, the last generation, we tended to get a lot more PlayStation codes. Like they usually sent a lot more console codes. But now it's really most publishers actually send PC codes, and they have less trouble with it. So we don't even use it that much for multi-platform games. So we just get PC codes.
Plus, PC is better than consoles.
Yeah. Not always, because there are those damn stuttering issues that are becoming unbearable.
There are Japanese developers. Japanese developers exist.
I've had a recent instance that I had to ask for a PlayStation 5 code because I couldn't play the game on PC. It was. I even wrote in the review. It's for Wild Arts. I couldn't play it on PC because it was a stuttering mess, and I had to go.
Fair enough. I suppose. I mean, it doesn't surprise me a PS5 Pro coming. It doesn't shock me in the slightest. And to be fair, that's why I actually Googled to figure out when the PS5 came out. If it comes out next year, if it comes out late next year, that's a 4-year gap in between the console, and so that'd make sense.
You know what? It doesn't really make sense. It doesn't feel like there is a new console. I mean, it still feels like this console generation hasn't started yet.
Well, that's why it sort of makes sense. That's sort of why it makes sense to me, because it's just another stopgap, because console generations, and I don't think there'll be that many more console generations. But console generations are going to be extended, and they're going to have the stopgaps, like the last one had the stopgap. The next time, the next Nintendo console will probably still technically be this generation. It'll just be, I don't know what they're going to call it. They've had the.
I don't know. I don't think they're going to throw away the Switch name. it's too recognizable at this point.
Well, yeah.
They made the Wii U mess though, so that's the precedent.
I was gonna say, so yeah, they'll probably they had the Wii, which was massive, so they kept they had the Wii U that failed, so now they've got the Switch, so they're now gonna have to do something fuck up with the Switch.
You know, they did the same with the DS and 3DS.
The Nintendo Switcheroo.
And it worked. They did that with the Nintendo DS and 3DS, and it worked. So they probably have an idea.
Just call it Switch 2. It isn't that hard.
No, yeah, but they need to do something comical. So it's the Nintendo Switcheroo.
The Super Switch, because Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Famicom, Super Famicom, they're going to do
that. Actually, wouldn't be too bad. I wouldn't complain about
simple, easy to remember, and then it's.
I would still prefer them to call it the Nintendo Switcheroo, because that would be funny.
But yeah, that's something that I wanted to point out with regards to the PS5 Pro, and especially its timing as compared to the previous generation, because the PS4 Pro was released 3 years after the PS4. So basically, this being 4 years is another indication that console generation are getting longer and longer.
Well, so basically, I think it's because technology is going a lot slower now, and that's just par for the course. Tech's going slower, and game development's only advancing so far.
Yeah, it also takes far longer to produce a AAA game. So basically, I think people now are already developing for the PS5 Pro, probably.
Wouldn't surprise me. I'd get the feeling that it's like I mean, I said this a while back, but I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see the next generation until 2028. And after that, you could even be looking, that may be the last console generation, the next one. If not, I don't see us having more than another 2 or 3. By 2050, technology will have advanced so far that there's no need for consoles.
Yeah, it will all be via cloud.
I think actual on hardware stuff on PCs will be there, but the reality is that even the technology for PCs will become cheap enough, and either the world will be ended or technology will be, and we will have the resource wars. There's 3 options. The world will have ended. We will be in the middle of the resource wars, so nobody will have a PC or technology. We will be, and everybody will be in the Google slave mines on the Mars. Or, no, not the Google ones, the fucking Twitter ones after Musk and SpaceX can take over. Or, everybody will be able to just get a PC because, why not? It's pointless.
I'm not sure about the last thing you said, because seeing how prices, for example, for graphics card have increased so much, I'm not so sure.
But that everybody will have given up on fucking NFTs and whatnot by then, because
Yeah, well, they will have some other stupid shit. They will come up with some other stupid shit that will be the fad of the moment, and then another one, and then another one. And then... There's no end to those things.
I hope I'm dead before the next thing comes out.
the next predatory fad.
Corona is certainly trying to get you.
Yeah, it's trying, but it's not working.
I am too strong, too powerful.
They should study you. Maybe they could create a cure for every illness in the world by studying.
Yeah, I think you are the key to salvation for mankind, Chris.
I think the reality is this:
you're the Messiah. You're here to save all of us.
I've been telling you all that for ages.
Sorry, if I have to see it, otherwise I won't believe it.
Yeah,
that's why I'm always right when it comes to the video games industry. I just know
Square Enix still is not been bought.
I am still claiming half victory because I just said Square Enix will be bought. And then the western side of Square Enix was bought. So I'm claiming half a victory so far. I just need the remainder to be bought for the full victory.
Okay.
What is it if you get half a win and half a loss?
It's nothing because you still haven't.
Yeah, the match is still in play. It's like if you're ahead in the first half. It's not.
Yeah,
it's not over yet.
So yeah, you can give yourself a pat in the back because you just got half of the thing right, but it's still
what? Just like a chop.
Half wrong. Yeah, you're still half wrong.
Yeah, well.
Even though you're half right.
Yeah, well, we'll see. So anyway, last topic, the fun one, which everybody loves anyway. Epic. Well, yeah, Epic Games.
Yeah.
Go on, Alessio. I'll let you start.
Well, Epic has made a few announcements recently. They launched self-publishing tools on the Epic Game Store. So basically now, whereas previously it was a bit harder to publish a game on the store compared to Steam, now they can do it basically just like they do on Steam. I think it's just a fee of $100 or something. And then it's really easy to get your game on the Epic Store. Of course, it will still have different criteria. For example, than Steam. For example, they still won't have like porn games, whereas Steam is full.
I said just different criteria to Steam. Steam have no criteria. Valve have just got an open door.
Well, they do have one criteria which the EGS doesn't, which is to ban NFT games, blockchain games, while the EGS technically allows them. But yeah, that's basically the main difference, other than porn. And beside that, Tim Sweeney, also the big boss of Epic, also made a couple of interesting statements. The first one was to criticize the Steamworks API because he said it's a classic lock-in strategy where they build the services that only work with their store. So basically, it says that created problems for the EGS early on. But
it's hardly a secret that. It's hardly a secret. Valve have been locking people in for ages, and it's only after it's only later on where they really started to show their true colours. I mean, it's a store. I really have no bloody loyalty to him, but Valve. It's the whole bullshit around it. How everybody seems to think Valve, or they keep just calling it Steam. They're Valve. But they seem to think Valve are the messiah somehow. It's like, well, no, because they have regular people create content for their games, hats on Team Fortress and skins and fuck knows whatever else. Then they actually fucking steal them from these creators. They do it in a roundabout way, which is technically legal by having them. They've got to sign these agreements where all this content to be able to be used on the game. Valve can put them in packs, it's user packs and whatnot. Valve keep the majority of that money because the way it's being sold and everything, it doesn't. They are massive fucking thieves. They are, and it's like, and when they take so much money off of these creators, and these are the people keeping their games fucking running. It's a piss take. Yeah. They're not even a developer anymore. I mean, they make good games. The once every decade they make a game. Actually, no, that's a lie.
Well, they did make Alex, although I mean,
I was thinking, Alex was a good game, but the reason why I was thinking it's a lie is because, well, they also made. The thing is that the game was that shit. I can't even remember the game. Artifact. That was it.
Artifact.
Yeah. I mean, that goes to show you.
Well, maybe they just don't know how to make card games, but yeah. And also, well, the other hot topic actually is surrounding EGS exclusives, because some people have been wondering whether Epic was going to stop doing that, because recently they have been more quiet. Early on they seemed to be more aggressive with their exclusives on PC games.
It's trying to grab market share, isn't it?
Yeah, but Sweeney said that they're not going to stop. They are simply focusing on the bigger games, because according to him, basically the smaller titles didn't really move enough of a player base from Steam to Epic. People just weren't willing to switch over. Yeah. While for the big games, for example, like Borderlands 3, that worked very well. So basically, they will be focusing on big exclusives going forward. And I mean, there are a few already announced. For example, Alan Wake 2 will be an EGS exclusive. And also, they have a few upcoming games from Grand Design, which is the studio from, games like The Last Guardian, etc. Yeah. And also Playdead, which is the studio from Limbo Inside. So there are still quite a few EGS exclusives and maybe a few more to come, but they will be of the
bigger might be kind. Time for Epic to actually make another game themselves. They're just, as bad.
They don't need to. They have Fortnite. It prints money.
I know, but they can make another game.
They don't need that. I mean, they could bring Unreal Tournament, but I don't think they care.
To be fair, they are about to release like a greatly expanded Fortnite editor in the Unreal Engine. So basically, that will allow, according to them, to make actual games inside of Fortnite. So maybe it will be kind of Roblox.
And, I was just thinking, so they're essentially turning Fortnite into Roblox.
Yeah. Where they're going. And maybe maybe someone will make an Unreal that way. I don't.
Yeah, somebody probably will, if the tool is powerful enough to.
And also, well, I mean, they've been kind enough. For example, with Paragon, they basically gave out the name on actually the IP to other people. Now there are other folks making Paragon when they. So, yeah. Well, we'll see. Well, at least I think we all hope that Alan Wake 2 turns out well.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose I'm looking forward to.
I'm not too worried because Control came out great, in my opinion.
So yeah, I would say it's Remedy. Well, I think isn't the deal for all the Remedy games coming up to be essentially published by Epic?
I don't know for sure. I think I'll have to see it again. But I think the Rockstar games, the one they are remaking for Max Payne.
Yeah, well, I mean the Remedy only titles. Like I like Alan Wake 2, like I don't know Control 2 when they do that, and you know what I mean. I thought they had a deal for like the next 5 games.
I think maybe it was 2, but for example, the Control multiplayer game, the spin-off title will be still published by 505.
Yeah.
Like Control. So.
Fair enough.
Anyway, what have you guys been playing?
Billy Idol in my head while I've been waking up from my fever dreams. Literally nothing. I've been that busy. I have not touched a video game in. While you two talk, I'm going to have a look at my Steam and find out the last time I touched a game. Go on, Francesco. You first.
So I'm going quick because there's a few more than a few. So
in fact, let's go quickly.
So I've been trying Diablo 4, but probably Alessio can talk about that. So I'll just skip over that. Then I tried again Exoprimal. That's the multiplayer dinosaur game from Capcom that people have been bashing because it didn't look great. But now that more people are playing it, they're seeing that there is some potential in the game. it's pretty fun. There are things that need to be tweaked. Like there is a PvP portion at the end of each match that feels a little bit too chaotic. Doesn't really work that well. And then there's the progression system that we don't know anything about because the open beta doesn't fit. It has a little bits of that, but you can't do anything. Like they give you currency to buy stuff, but there is no store, so we don't know how that is going to work. But I think as a game it plays pretty well, it plays nicely, and it feels nice to play. But I don't know how long Capcom will support it because I don't know. I hope they do because the game is fun. Like I said, it feels a bit like the Warriors games from Omega Force. You know that you're getting thrown thousands of dinosaurs your way, and even if they throw you so many dinosaurs, the game actually runs pretty well on PC. So that's another big plus, in my
Yeah, but
opinion.
I mean, I played it as well, the beta, and to be fair, I'm a bit worried about repetition because it looks
Yeah,
like,
that's
yeah,
what I said. But they actually said that this is just one of the game modes that will be in. So I think they should have shown more because it's almost exactly the same type. The outside of the extra suites that we didn't have all of them in the closed beta. We had the same maps, the same mission types. They probably should have introduced something more. So
yeah,
this is why it could get boring fast. The problem is that this would have been less of a problem if they released this as a cheaper game or free to play. They're selling this as a full priced game. So
Yeah.
I don't know how
yeah.
it's going to go.
Yeah, I think they realized that, and that's why it's on Game Pass. So
Yeah,
basically,
yeah.
they're covering their ass
They're
that way.
covered. Capcom has actually been. I think I said this already, but Capcom has been on a roll since they released Resident Evil 7. So they've released only great games since that. One could say that the Resident Evil 3 remake wasn't as good as it was supposed to be, but that's another story because of the cut content and stuff. So they've
Yeah,
Yeah.
released great games so far. So
I mean,
maybe this one will surprise people.
yeah, but maybe if it's not as great, they still are allowed to make a less than great game once in a while.
Yeah,
That's
It
no,
happens.
this is one thing I noted in my preview is that at least they're working on something that is not a new game and a known series because that's what Capcom has been doing lately. More Resident Evil, more Devil May Cry, more Monster Hunter, but there was that game of Pragmata and they just showed that once and then it has disappeared.
to be fair, honestly, I think a lot of people would prefer a new Dino Crisis to this
They,
Exo Primal.
they would, but we can, after
Then,
after Resident Evil 6, people thought that Resident Evil was done and over because Resident Evil 6 was kind of a bad game, at least in my opinion. But some people may like it, but and then they came back. So Dino Crisis went back in the day. It was the same. The first game was great. Then it started getting worse. Maybe they will bring it back. This could be a test if they see oh, people like dinosaurs in our games. Let's bring Dino Crisis back. Although it's a completely different type of game, but
Yeah, I mean, there's some people that, I mean, that have been pining for Dino Crisis for decades now, and they were
yeah,
like, "Really, Capcom? You do a dinosaur game, but it's nothing like Dino Crisis." And
yeah.
but
I think they will eventually bring it back because they're bringing back Dragon's Dogma too. So they brought back Mega Man. They made new Mega Man games and they're decent. They're
yeah, I
just
mean,
they have two series that they have to bring back. One is Dino Crisis, the other is Breath of Fire. I think they'll
yeah.
bring them back eventually at this point
I
because
I
they brought
think
everything back. They brought
I think probably Onimusha could be an interesting one as well eventually.
they
But maybe,
it was in that leak from like 2 years ago. It was in that leaked list of games, and it's the only one that hasn't been announced yet. That, and then there was another Resident Evil spin-off. I don't remember what it was called, and they still have to announce that. But they're probably bringing everything back at this point because they're doing well. They're doing well, and then it'll just take time.
Anyway, as Francesco said, I've been playing quite a bit of the Diablo 4 beta, so it's finally here, and it's looking good, honestly, because it's been a long time. It's been nearly 11 years since the last mainline Diablo, so people were very eager, and of course, I think I posted the screenshot in the workplace chat, but when I logged in on Friday, which was the first day of the beta, and I had like 2.5 hours of wait. Then, I eventually got in before that, but there was a long wait, but it was worth it. Honestly, it's looking well. It's still Diablo in main regards, and of course, if you don't like Diablo, if you have never liked Diablo, you probably won't like this either. But if you do, if you did like Diablo in the past, then this one looks to be, enhanced in every way. The graphics are much better, and the presentation is much better. Even the cutscenes, the voice acting. Even at the very beginning of the game, there is kind of a twist that leads you to basically become connected with Lilith, which is basically the main adversary of the storyline. And of course, the combat is great. The one thing I mentioned actually in the article that I wrote about the beta is that for some reason, I don't know why, but they saw fit to basically let you go through the first 7 levels of the game with only the basic attack, which is weird, honestly. But once you actually unlock the skill tree and all of its many abilities, then it becomes really, really good. The combat feels very good, and both in the sound of the effects and the visuals, the animations are very smooth, and there's also a lot of choice. There are many abilities you can for each class, and you can choose basically how you want to play your for example, your barbarian. I chose the barbarian, and you could play it more defensively, you can play it more aggressively, you can play it with dual wielding or with two-handed maces or slashing weapons. And of course, it's still the beta, so there's much more. Each class has its own kind of perks. For example, the barbarian has expertise that you can unlock the more you use a certain type of weapon. And then there are like aspects, runes, enchants, sockets, and all kinds of things that can still optimize your playstyle and your character. And
you know what I'm happy about? The atmosphere. It's finally dark again, because Diablo 3 was too colorful. It was too cartoonish.
That was one of the things they said from the beginning, that they wanted to make it more dark. And also the zone is big, and it's by far, I think, the biggest. It's by far going to be the biggest Diablo ever, and also the environments look more cohesive, more organic. They aren't maps; they actually look like they belong to. And of course, it's still a top-down game, but it feels more real in how it's constructed. And also, there are more kind of types of events. For example, there are MMO-style dynamic events. So you basically come into an area, and then someone is sacrificing a human, or you have to stop a certain type of bandits. I don't know. there's lots of events that you can just walk through and join up with other nearby players that you can find, and even if you are not grouped, you still get the full experience once you participate. So like I said, kind of MMO style.
Yeah.
And then of course there are the dungeons, and those can be pretty hard if you're not careful. Even the final bosses can be tough. I died a few times. For example, that's one thing that always kind of bothered me when I was playing Lost Ark. Basically, in that game, at least until the very, very end game stuff, like raids, you didn't really die because it was very, very easy. Diablo 4 is far more challenging, even on just the second world tier. And there are still like the third and the fourth world tier that you get to unlock in the full game. So, and it also runs very well. I think Francesco can probably testify, right? Even on your end.
Yeah. I don't know if it was the same. Maybe I need to tweak some settings. But the moment I arrived in the first city and then it unlocked the other players, then I could see the other players, it started chugging a bit. Now, I don't know if it's a server issue or it was my system.
Sometimes there are, yes, there are a few instances.
It's early stages, so I've not
played could be that, but up until that point, it ran great. Well, I had the LSS on, but
yeah, it's worth looking at and playing a bit more over time and talking about in the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I bet I personally haven't actually played a single game. I've had a look on Steam. I haven't played a game in literally 1 month. That's how chaotic life has been. There are games coming up that I'm looking forward to playing, so maybe I might try play a video game sometime this week, though. May. We'll see. We'll see what life allows.
That would be a nice change.
Yeah, it would be a moment. But anyway, we've gone for over an hour now, so I think we can call it a day for today. Yeah. Since I've not played any games, we will see you all another time. We'll see you in a bit. Bye.
Bye.